Welcome to the Bacolod City Labor Partnership podcast.
Wow.
We're heading to Tagaytay City today.
Always a good trip.
Yeah. Now I know what you're thinking. Tagaytay, beautiful tall volcano, perfect weekend getaway.
Write the classic.
But we're going a little deeper than that today.
Deeper than the postcards, yeah.
Yeah, we're going to go beyond the postcard views. I
Exactly.
got Tagaytay's official website here, and we're going to uncover its history and how it became the city it is today.
Absolutely.
All right, so let's unpack this. I was looking through the website, and I was really drawn to the story of how Tagaytay got its name.
Mm-hmm.
It all starts with a wild boar hunt, right?
It does.
A father and son out in the wilderness.
Yeah, classic tale.
Yeah. So imagine them tracking this boar, the tension is building, and suddenly the boar charges the father.
No.
And in a split second, the son yells, Tagaytay, which means, cut him down, father.
Oh.
And that desperate cry echoing through the valleys became so ingrained in the local memory that it gave birth to the name, Tagaytay.
It's powerful, isn't it? The way words can shape a place. I mean, that legend speaks to the importance of oral tradition and how it shapes our understanding of history.
Yeah, it's like a direct link to the past.
Yeah,
A story whispering through time.
I love that.
And speaking of history, Tagaytay's location played a huge role in the Philippine Revolution of 1896.
Of course.
Surrounded by dense forests and rugged terrain, it was a natural sanctuary for revolutionaries.
Absolutely. It was a refuge for those fighting for independence. And in fact, the word Managete emerged during this time, specifically describing the revolutionaries' movements through the region. They really used the landscape to their advantage, moving through the ridges and the valleys.
So from a revolutionary hideout to a tourist haven, Tagaytay's history has been pretty dramatic.
Oh, absolutely. And that drama continued into World War II.
Really?
During the liberation of Manila, the 11th Airborne Division airdropped supplies and troops right onto the Tagaytay Ridge.
Yeah.
It was a pivotal moment in the fight against the Japanese occupation and a testament to Tagaytay's strategic importance.
Yeah, so from a revolutionary haven to a strategic point in a global conflict, Tagaytay's really seen a lot.
You can still visit the historical marker commemorating that event. It's at the junction of Silang and Cebu roads.
Oh, wow, that's fascinating.
Yeah, and speaking of milestones, Tagaytay officially became a city in 1938.
Right under Commonwealth Act number 338.
That's right, thanks to the efforts of Representative Justiniano S. Montano.
And it's grown rapidly ever since.
Oh, yeah.
The website highlights two main perspectives on Tagaytay's growth. The national perspective, where it's seen as a major tourist destination, and the regional perspective, where it's recognized as a rapidly urbanizing center.
Right, two sides of the same coin in a way.
It's interesting to see how those two perspectives kind of intersect and play off each other.
Well, on a national level, it's clear to see why Tagaytay is so popular. It's close to Manila, offers cooler weather, and of course there's that stunning view of Taal Volcano.
Yeah, and on the regional level, Tagaytay is part of the Calabarzon region. For those who aren't familiar, that stands for Cavite Laguna Batangas Rizal and Quezon. It's one of the fastest growing urban areas in the Philippines.
We're talking a surge in residential and commercial development, attracting investors from both within the Philippines and abroad.
So how does a city balance its popularity as a tourist destination with the demands of a growing urban center?
That's the question, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, the influx of people and development brings new challenges, right?
Right.
Transportation, environmental protection, water supply, land use.
It's a delicate balancing act between fostering growth and preserving the city's charm.
I think Tagaytay's natural beauty is a key part of its appeal.
Oh, absolutely.
The cool climate, the views, the greenery, they all create an atmosphere of tranquility perfect for relaxation. No wonder so many people are seeking out weekend homes here.
Yeah, Tagaytay, where history, natural beauty, and urban development all converge.
And where it goes next is a question we'll explore further.
If you're enjoying these insights about Tagaytay's evolution, you'll find a lot more on our YouTube channel and Facebook page. Just search for Bacolod City Labor Partnership.
It's a great resource for anyone interested in urban development and how it impacts communities and livelihoods.
Okay, but back to Tagaytay. The website also touches on this idea of Tagaytay being inherently suited for rest and relaxation.
Yes, and that leads to an interesting point about the development of high-cost weekend housing areas.
Right.
These aren't just vacation homes. They represent a shift in how people are using and valuing Tagaytay.
It's like a haven for those who can afford it. A place to escape the hustle and bustle of city life.
Which raises the question, how does this affect the long-term development of Tagaytay? Is it becoming a city for the wealthy, or is there a way to balance this with affordable housing and opportunities for all residents?
Yeah, that's a complex issue with no easy answers, but
Yeah,
it's definitely one that we need to be mindful of as we consider the future of cities like Tagaytay.
I agree. And it brings us to another key point, the challenges of managing growth while preserving Tagaytay's natural character.
It's a delicate dance, isn't it? How do you ensure that development doesn't come at the cost of the very things that make Tagaytay so special?
Think about the traffic, the strain on resources like water, the potential for pollution. These are all real concerns that need to be addressed.
And it's not just about protecting pretty views, it's about ensuring sustainable livelihoods and a thriving community for the people who depend on it.
Exactly. The tourism industry in Tagaytay employs a significant number of people. If the environment suffers, so does the economy, and so do the lives of those who rely on it.
So it's not just about protecting the environment for the environment's sake, it's about protecting the heart of Tagaytay's identity and making sure everyone benefits.
Precisely. And that brings us to another fascinating aspect, the interplay between urban development and agriculture.
Yeah, Tagaytay is known for its pineapple plantations and other agricultural products. How
Right.
is that changing as the city grows?
It's a crucial question. Is there a way to preserve these agricultural traditions and integrate them into the urban fabric? Or will they be pushed aside as land becomes more valuable for housing and commercial development?
These are the kinds of dilemmas that cities like Tagaytay are facing all over the world, aren't they?
They are.
Balancing the need for growth with the desire to preserve what makes a place unique.
Yeah, it's a global challenge.
And it's something we should all be thinking about, not just in the context of Tagaytay, but in our own communities as well. How can we ensure that development benefits everyone and doesn't come at the expense of the environment or our cultural heritage?
Right. It's about finding that balance.
It's a conversation that requires careful consideration and a long-term vision. And for anyone who wants to dive deeper into these issues, we encourage you to visit the Bacolod City Labor Partnership on YouTube and Facebook.
We've got a wealth of resources and discussions on these topics.
Yeah, it's a great way to stay informed and engaged in the conversation about creating a more sustainable and equitable future for all. All right, so what are some of the specific strategies that Tagaytay is employing to manage its growth? The website mentions a focus on sustainable urban planning. Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Certainly, sustainable urban planning involves thinking about development in a more holistic way, you know?
Okay.
It's about considering the environmental impact, the social impact, and the economic impact of every decision.
So it's not just about building more houses and roads, it's about doing it in a way that minimizes harm and maximizes benefits for the entire community.
Exactly. It's about creating a city that is not only functional, but also livable, resilient, and sustainable for generations to come.
Can you give us some concrete examples of what that looks like in practice?
Sure. One example is investing in public transportation by providing reliable and affordable public transportation options. You can reduce traffic congestion, air pollution, and reliance on private cars.
That makes sense. And what about managing the environmental impact of development?
Well, that involves things like protecting green spaces, implementing strict regulations on pollution, and promoting energy efficiency in buildings.
And I imagine water management is a big concern as well, especially with a growing population.
Absolutely. Sustainable urban planning includes ensuring a reliable and sustainable water supply for the city, which might involve investing in water-saving technologies, protecting watersheds, and managing water usage more efficiently.
It's a lot to consider, but it's clear that Tagaytay is taking these challenges seriously.
Yes, and I think that's what makes it such an interesting case study. It's a city that is actively grappling with these issues and trying to find solutions that work for both people and the planet.
And for those of you who want to learn more about how cities around the world are tackling these challenges, I highly recommend checking out the Bacolod City Labor Partnership on YouTube and Facebook.
We share stories and insights from experts and activists working on the front lines of sustainable development.
It's a great way to stay informed and inspired to make a difference in your own community.
It's also a reminder that we're all in this together. The choices we make today will shape the future of our cities and the planet.
And speaking of choices, Tagaytay is facing some tough decisions about its future.
Decisions that will determine whether it can maintain its unique charm while embracing the demands of a growing urban center.
Decisions that will shape the lives of its residents for generations to come.
And decisions that could serve as a model for other cities facing similar challenges.
Definitely ones to watch.
Yeah, it really is a fascinating dilemma. How do you balance progress with preservation? How do you make sure that growth doesn't, erase the very things that make a place special?
It's a tightrope walk, for sure.
Mhm.
And Tagaytay seems to be trying to find that sweet spot between honoring its past and embracing its future.
And it's not just about physical development either. It's about preserving the cultural heritage of the city.
Right.
Tagaytay has a rich history rooted in agriculture, and that's something that needs to be recognized and valued.
You're right. It's about finding ways to integrate those traditions into the modern urban landscape.
Yeah.
Maybe through farmers markets, agritourism initiatives, or even urban farming projects.
Exactly. It's about creating a sense of continuity, showing that the past is not something to be left behind, but rather something to be woven into the fabric of the present.
Yeah, it's like building a bridge between generations, ensuring that the stories and traditions of the past are passed on to future generations.
And that brings us to another critical aspect of sustainable development: community engagement.
Oh, yeah.
It's not enough for city planners to come up with top-down solutions. They need to involve the people who live in Tagaytay in the decision-making process.
Because ultimately, it's the residents who will be most affected by these decisions, right?
Precisely. And they're the ones who know their city best, who understand its needs and its challenges. By tapping into that local knowledge and expertise, you can create solutions that are more effective and more sustainable in the long run.
It's about empowering communities to shape their own future. It's about creating a sense of ownership and shared responsibility for the well-being of the city.
And that's where organizations like the Bacolod City Labor Partnership come in.
Yeah.
We're all about promoting community empowerment and advocating for policies that support sustainable development.
Right. We believe that everyone has a role to play in creating a better future, and we're committed to providing the resources and support that communities need to make that happen. So if you're passionate about these issues, we encourage you to check out our YouTube channel and Facebook page.
Yeah, it's a great way to learn more and get involved.
Absolutely. We're building a movement of people who are committed to creating a more just and sustainable world, and we'd love for you to join us.
I would.
Now, going back to Tagaytay, one thing that struck me is that the website doesn't shy away from acknowledging the challenges of growth.
That's true. They're very upfront about the potential downsides, the
Mhm.
things they need to be mindful of as the city expands.
It's refreshing to see that level of honesty and transparency. It shows that they're taking a balanced approach, recognizing that growth isn't always easy or straightforward.
Right. And it's important to acknowledge that there will be trade-offs. There's
Mhm.
no such thing as perfect development, and there will always be competing interests and priorities.
Sure. The key is to find solutions that minimize harm and maximize benefits for the majority of people.
And that's where things can get tricky. How do you decide what's best for the city as a whole when there are so many different perspectives and needs to consider?
It's a complex equation, and there's no one-size-fits-all answer.
But I think one thing is clear: open and honest communication is essential.
Yeah.
City planners, residents, businesses, and other stakeholders need to be able to come together, share their concerns, and work collaboratively to find solutions that are fair and equitable.
It's about building trust and creating a shared vision for the future.
And that's not always easy, especially in a rapidly changing environment like Tagaytay.
But it's absolutely crucial if they want to avoid the pitfalls of unchecked growth and create a city that is truly sustainable and prosperous for everyone.
One of the biggest challenges Tagaytay faces, and this is something we see in cities around the world, is managing the influx of people and the strain it puts on infrastructure and resources.
Right, that's a classic problem. As the city becomes more popular, it attracts more people, which puts more pressure on housing, transportation, water supply, and other essential services.
And if those systems aren't adequately prepared to handle that influx, it can lead to overcrowding, traffic congestion, shortages, and a decline in the quality of life for everyone.
So what are some of the ways that cities can address this challenge?
Well, one key strategy is to invest in smart growth principles. Smart growth is all about creating more compact, walkable, and transit-oriented communities.
Okay, so instead of sprawling outward, you're building upward and inward, creating denser neighborhoods where people can live, work, and play without relying so heavily on cars.
Exactly. And that can have a ripple effect on other areas. For example, if you have more people living within walking distance of shops and restaurants, it can reduce traffic congestion and support local businesses.
And if you have reliable and efficient public transportation connecting different parts of the city, it can reduce the need for everyone to own a car, which can ease traffic and reduce pollution.
Smart growth is also about preserving green spaces and natural areas within the city.
Because those spaces provide so many benefits, right?
They do.
They help to clean the air and water, they provide habitat for wildlife, They offer recreational opportunities for residents, and they just make the city a more beautiful and enjoyable place to live.
Precisely. And they can also help to mitigate some of the negative impacts of urbanization, such as the urban heat island effect.
Which is that phenomena where cities tend to be significantly hotter than surrounding rural areas because of all the concrete and asphalt that absorb and trap heat.
Exactly. Green spaces can help to cool down the city by providing shade and releasing moisture into the air.
So it's not just about protecting the environment. It's about creating a healthier and more livable city for everyone.
Absolutely. And that's something that Tagaytay seems to be taking to heart. They're really trying to strike that balance between growth and preservation, between economic development and environmental protection.
And it's a journey that's still unfolding. They're constantly learning and adapting, trying to find the best way forward.
And that's what makes it so inspiring. They're not afraid to acknowledge the challenges, and they're committed to finding solutions that work for everyone.
And for those of you who are interested in following Tagaytay's journey and learning from their experience, we encourage you to check out their official website.
It's a great resource for understanding the city's history, its vision for the future, and the steps they're taking to achieve it.
And for those of you who are interested in broader discussions about labor rights, sustainable development, and community empowerment, don't forget to visit the Bacolod City Labor Partnership on YouTube and Facebook.
We're always sharing new insights, inspiring stories, and practical tips for building a more just and sustainable world.
So as we delve deeper into Tagaytay's story, one question that keeps coming up is, how do you manage growth in a way that benefits everyone? How do you ensure that the prosperity generated by development is shared equitably across the community?
It's a crucial question, and it's one that we need to be asking ourselves, not just in the context of Tagaytay, but as every city and town around the world.
Because if growth only benefits a select few, it's not sustainable in the long run. It can lead to social unrest, economic inequality, and a decline in the overall well-being of the community.
And we're seeing those consequences play out in cities all over the world, aren't we?
We're seeing rising housing costs pushing people out of their neighborhoods. We're seeing gentrification displacing longtime residents and businesses, and we're seeing the gap between the rich and the poor widening at an alarming rate.
So how do we create a different path? How do we ensure that growth is inclusive and benefits everyone, not just the wealthy elite?
It's a complex challenge, but I think there are a few key principles that can guide us.
I'd love to hear your thoughts. What are some of those principles that stand out to you?
Well, first and foremost, I think it's about prioritizing affordable housing. People can't afford to live in the city. They can't fully participate in its economic and social life.
I completely agree. Affordable housing is the foundation of an equitable city. It allows people to live close to their jobs, schools, and other essential services, and it frees up more of their income to spend on other things which can boost the local economy.
It's also about investing in public services and infrastructure that benefit everyone, not just the wealthy. That means things like quality public schools, accessible healthcare, reliable public transportation, and safe and vibrant public spaces.
Those are all essential components of a thriving and equitable community, and it's important to note that these investments don't just benefit the poor and working class, they benefit everyone.
That's right. When everyone has access to quality public services and infrastructure, it creates a more just and equitable society as a whole. It levels the playing field and creates more opportunities for everyone to succeed.
Another important principle is to create economic opportunities that benefit a wide range of people, not just those at the top.
So supporting small businesses and entrepreneurs, investing in workforce development programs, and creating pathways for people to move up the economic ladder.
It's about ensuring that everyone has a fair shot at success regardless of their background or circumstances.
And it's about creating an economy that is both prosperous and equitable, where everyone can share in the benefits of growth.
I think those are all really important points, and they highlight the interconnectedness of social, economic, and environmental issues.
Big two, you can't talk about sustainable development without talking about social justice. And you can't talk about economic growth without talking about environmental protection.
It's all part of the same puzzle, and if we want to create a better future, we need to address all of these pieces together.
And that brings us back to Tagaytay, as we've seen. It's a city that's grappling with these very issues, trying to find ways to manage growth in a way that benefits everyone.
And it's a journey that's still in progress. There will be challenges and setbacks along the way.
But they're moving in the right direction. They're asking the tough questions. They're engaging with the community, and they're experimenting with new solutions.
And for those of you who are interested in learning more about their journey and finding inspiration for your own communities, I encourage you to visit the Bacolod City Labor Partnership on YouTube and Facebook.
We're a community of people who are passionate about creating a more just and sustainable world. And we're always looking for new voices and perspectives to join the conversation.
Yeah. It's really great to see a city like Tagaytay really trying to find that balance, acknowledging that progress doesn't have to come at the expense of people or the planet.
It's a good reminder that we have choices,
Mm.
in how we shape our cities.
Yeah.
It's not about just accepting the status quo. It's
Mm.
about, actively envisioning and working towards a future that is both prosperous and just.
And Tagaytay's journey is a testament to the power of collaboration.
Hmm.
It takes a collective effort from city planners, residents, businesses, community organizations, to create real and lasting change. It does. It's about recognizing that we all have a stake in the well-being of our communities and that we all have something to contribute.
And speaking of contributions, I think Tagaytay's story offers valuable lessons for other cities facing similar challenges.
Yeah.
It's a reminder that growth doesn't have to mean sacrificing our values or our connection to place.
Absolutely. Tagaytay is showing us that it's possible to embrace progress while still preserving the things that make a city unique and livable, whether it's the natural beauty, the cultural heritage, the sense of community. It's about finding ways to integrate those elements into the fabric of the modern city.
And I think that's a powerful message for all of us, no matter where we live.
It is.
It's about recognizing that our cities are not just concrete jungles. They're living, breathing ecosystems that need to be nurtured and cared for.
Yeah, and just as Tagaytay is finding its own path towards sustainable development, so too can other cities draw inspiration from its experience and adapt those lessons to their own unique contexts.
Now, thinking about Tagaytay's future, it's clear that technology will play a significant role.
Right.
We're already seeing the rise of smart cities, and Tagaytay is well positioned to embrace these innovations.
Absolutely. Smart city initiatives can help to address so many of the challenges we've been discussing, from traffic management to energy efficiency to public safety. Imagine a Tagaytay where sensors monitor traffic flow and adjust signals in real time to reduce congestion, or where smart grids optimize energy consumption to reduce waste and lower costs.
It's exciting to think about all the possibilities, but as with any technology, it's crucial to ensure that it's implemented ethically and equitably.
Of course, we need to be mindful of issues like data privacy, algorithmic bias, and the potential for technology to exacerbate existing inequalities.
Yeah, it's about using technology as a tool to empower communities and create a more just and sustainable future, not as a way to control or exploit them.
Right, and that brings us back to the importance of community engagement. Technology should be designed and implemented in a way that reflects the needs and values of the people it's intended to serve.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into Tagaytay, what are some key takeaways for our listeners? What can they learn from Tagaytay's experience and apply to their own communities?
Well, I think one of the most important takeaways is that sustainable development is not just an abstract concept. It's something that's happening right now in cities all over the world. Tagaytay is a great example of a city that's actively grappling with these challenges and finding creative solutions.
Yeah, it's a reminder that change is possible and that we all have a role to play in shaping the future of our communities.
Another key takeaway is that sustainable development is not just about protecting the environment. It's about creating a better quality of life for everyone. It's about ensuring that everyone has access to affordable housing, quality public services, and economic opportunities.
Right, it's about building communities that are both prosperous and just where everyone can thrive.
And finally, I think Tagaytay's story highlights the importance of collaboration and community engagement. No one person or organization has all the answers, and it takes a collective effort to create real and lasting change.
So if you're feeling inspired by Tagaytay's journey, we encourage you to get involved in your own community. Find out what challenges your city is facing and what steps are being taken to address them. Connect with local organizations that are working on issues you care about and lend your voice in your support.
And for those of you who are interested in learning more about labor rights, sustainable development, and community empowerment, we invite you to visit the Bacolod City Labor Partnership on YouTube and Facebook.
We're a community of people who are passionate about building a more just and equitable world, and we'd love for you to join us.
We would.
As Tagaytay continues to evolve, it'll be fascinating to see how it navigates the challenges and opportunities that lie ahead. But one thing is certain. It will continue to inspire others with its commitment to sustainable development and its unwavering belief in the power of community.
It will.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into Tagaytay City. We hope you've gained a new appreciation for this remarkable place and the complexities it faces.
And remember, it's more than just a pretty view. It's a city with a story to tell, a community to engage with, and a future to shape.
Thank you for listening to the Bacolod City Labor Partnership Podcast.